Hey, it's Rob from Wheelworks Bike Shop in Dublin. Today we have a really cool bike. In fact, I think this might be my current favourite bike, although I say that most days when I've got something new. So it's a Domane RSL, not to be confused with the SLR, uh, which is the endurance version. The RSL is the racing endurance version. We've built this one with Dura Di2, Bontrager Aeolus RSL 51s, uh, carbon Bontrager Verse Pro saddle, and a Gen 6 Madone cockpit. That's your quick overall run through, but what's really cool and interesting about this one is the frame. So that's where we're going to spend most time today. So the story with the RSL is it's the bike that the Trek, the Lidl Trek, formerly the Trek Segafredo team, rides and races in Paris-Roubaix and races like that, where they're racing on the cobbles. And this is a special edition that the team raced in 23 last year. So it's the consumer version for 24, it's the team edition for 23. And the differences between the RSL and the SLR is all in the frame, geometry, and in some details in it. So you've got a smaller head tube, slightly longer setup. So it's a race version of the Domane. It's a much deeper head tube, much deeper down tube, and a huge bottom bracket. So your bottom bracket's much taller and deeper that way. One of the important differences with this over any of the other Domanes is the frame is actually wind tunnel tested as opposed to being CFD developed. So the aerodynamics on the regular Domane, the SLR and the SL are computer designed and computer simulated. This guy is computer simulated, and then they stick it in the wind tunnel to test it for the pros. So you've got full deep head tube, aero down tube, big beefy bottom bracket, big beefy chainstay. So it's really stiff, really good power delivery. It's very light. You still have the ISO-speed decoupler, which is it means the seat tube here is separate from the top tube. It's mounted on a bearing system, which allows it to flex. You've also got a D-shaped seat post, so it's aero shape at the front and flat at the back. And the idea with that is you've got, if you can see that there, you've got a certain amount of flex built into that. A D shape will flex more than a round seat post or an aero one. Other points to note: the Domane in either the SL or the SLR has a door in the frame here that pops off, and you can store your kit inside, or your bananas, or whatever you want to put in it. The RSL doesn't, because the pros aren't carrying around a flat kit in it. They just get a new bike off the team car, and obviously that adds weight if you're cutting holes in the frame, putting a door in it. So the idea is to keep the weight down. What else have we got? Interesting points on this. The paint is obviously a big part of it, and the paint is really striking. I'm a big fan of, anyone who's watched my videos on either YouTube or Instagram knows I'm a big fan of the Madone and the Speed concept, and I tend to do more of those videos than either the Domane or the Amanda, and that's because the paint is so dramatic on them. You've got a big canvas, so it looks really cool, and that's no different on this one. The SLR version of this, the paint job is really nice, but on the RSL it looks quite spectacular. The deeper head tube and down tube, it's a big canvas to paint on. We've gone with Pirelli P0s, and I think we did 28s on this one. I should really know that before I start. 700 with 28s. RSL 51s. There's some debate internally here as to whether we should build it with 37s, which is what the team raced with it in Paris-Roubaix. I'm a bigger fan of deeper wheels, so instead of sticking 62s, which is sort of what I stick on everything, we compromised and went with 51s. I think I have the older version of this, same frame, different paint job, the one from last year, and I have it built with 51s, and I think they're a good compromise. They accelerate fast, they climb well, and you've still got a nice aero wheel that looks very cool. The Versus Trek's longer saddle, it's split, so you've nice support on the outside. You've got a channel in the middle to relieve pressure, carbon rails, carbon shell, and you've got mount points in the saddle that we can put a light mount directly on the back here, and you've got a mount point underneath the bar that we can bolt directly in, and you can put a Garmin mount and a light mount out there, so you're not cable tying things on. That's pretty much it. That's the run through on that one. So it's the Trek Domane RSL 9. It's Rob from Wheelworks Bike Shop in Dublin.